Hey guys, welcome back. Dr. T, living your best life here in the Philippines. Right now I'm in Bohol, and I wanted to do a video on this. Do you need a big bike here in the Philippines? If you haven't checked out my how to buy a motorcycle video, go back and take a look at that one. I'm not going to go through the process I went through to get this. It's a little bit of a pain in the butt, so go back and check that video out if you haven't bought a motorcycle. You want to figure out how to buy a motorcycle as a foreigner coming into the Philippines. So let's talk about this. This is a Yamaha R3, and this isn't, obviously I don't do motorcycle reviews and that isn't really the focus of my channel, but what I want to talk about is deciding whether or not you actually can use a big motorcycle like this in the Philippines. And by the way, I know if you're a motorcycle person, you hear Yamaha R3 and big motorcycle and you kind of laugh, because on all the motorcycle review YouTube channels, they refer to big bikes as anything over 1,000 cc's. Those are considered big bikes in motorcycle world. And here in the Philippines, anything over a scooter is considered a big bike. So that's one thing to know. When you go to motorcycle shops, most of them actually don't have actual motorcycles. They have up to 150s. They have some they make an MT-15 here. It's 150 cc Yamaha, like the big MT-07s and stuff like that. You have to go to shops that specifically carry those big bikes. So when you're looking, it makes it difficult depending on where you're from. But like in Cebu, I did videos on this. There's a lot of shops that have big bikes. Here in Bohol, there's only one, and there's Honda in Tagbilaran that has big bikes. They have everything all the way up to the Africa Twin. Everything you could want there. Other companies, it's much harder. This one I found was at the opposite end of Bohol, a little town called Ubay, out in the middle of nowhere. So I drove about 2.5 hours to get it. So, all right, why did I buy it? Because if you watched my other video, I have a Honda PCX scooter. It's a 160 cc, and I'm posting another video on that one as well, because I want to talk about what's the best scooter in the Philippines. Most people here drive scooters, and I mean small scooters, and I talked about this in other videos, small scooters that are 20 and 30 years old. And so as a result, traffic moves very slowly. And you have tricycles, it's these little, they're almost like golf cart type things that they use for public transportation here. So the traffic, everywhere I've been in the Philippines, is really, really slow. The roads are not conducive to driving fast. They're really narrow roads. They don't have big highways. I know out in Manila it's a little different, and depending on what island you're from, like I said, this is going to be a little different. But in Cebu and Bohol, I'm speaking only on those are the two islands that I've actually driven on so far. So I'm kind of focusing this on that. And I think it applies to most areas other than, like I said, areas in Manila have big highways. So if you're watching this from a foreigner, you're thinking, maybe like I was when I was doing my research on the Philippines, originally I wanted to buy a Harley because I had a Harley in the States. And I thought, well, that would be cool to just have another bike that I'm comfortable with. I know Harleys and I've had them and driven them and etc. Totally impractical here in the Philippines. A big bike here, again, anything over, let's say 300 cc's, starts to become impractical because, like I said, the traffic here is so slow. On the Honda PCX, it's a 160 cc scooter. That is more than sufficient. I've driven it all over. More than sufficient to keep up with traffic. More than sufficient actually to overtake most traffic, because like I said, people are driving scooters and they're driving really old scooters. They're driving scooters that are 110 cc, 115, 125 cc. So 160 cc scooter is faster than most things on the road here, believe it or not. Again, this isn't America where you have open highways and you could drive for 6 hours right at 90 miles an hour. That's impossible here. From one end of Bohol to the other, north and south, it takes 2.5 hours. So just to give you an idea of how small the island is. And it's back roads. And the back roads are filled with stray dogs and chickens and goats and cows and you name it crossing the road. So as you go up in size motorcycle, it starts to become impractical. One, to navigate through the traffic in congested areas, and then two, if you owned, let's say, 1,000cc sports bike here in Cebu or Bohol, you're never going to use it. I've had this for a month now. I've put it into 6th gear twice. And I have to work to do that, honestly. And I could get it into 6th gear, but I have to downshift right away because the traffic or I'm running out of space on the road is going to curve or something like that. So my point on saying that is it's not like I'm running that 6th gear all out for, 20, 30 minutes or even 2 minutes, honestly. So having a big bike is really impractical. Did I need something like this? Honestly, no. Honestly, if I could save you some money, I would say probably don't buy a big bike, because there's some pros and cons I want to talk about. The pro is, for me, it was more of a toy. Like I said, I have the scooter. That is more functional here for a lot of reasons, like I went to on that video. The big bike for me is just a toy. Guys like their toys, right? It's kind of the thing in America. Guys like toys, right? People are into boating and golf, shooting, archery, whatever you're into, right? Guys tend to have hobbies and they like to spend money on their hobbies. So I always liked motorcycles, so I kind of got back into it here in the Philippines. So this gave me something more of a hobby to play with. Do I need it? 100% unequivocally no. A scooter is more than adequate to drive anywhere you want in these islands around here, easily. So actually, I got this a month ago and I'm selling it actually already. I sold it to a guy today. There's some drawbacks to it, so that's what I want to talk about. Again, I'm not going to review this like as if you were watching a motorcycle channel, because that's just not my bag. That's not what my channel's about. But I'm trying to save you some money and give you some insight into my process and what I went through. So if you're a foreigner and you're really into motorcycles and you're coming to the Philippines and you're thinking about, heck yeah, I had a 650 in wherever country you're from, and when I get to the Philippines I want to buy another bike like that, I could probably save you a lot of money and hassle, honestly. So this is a great bike. I've been real happy with it. The seating position for me is a little uncomfortable because it's a little lean forward. I'll show you, and again, not going to go into depth other than to show you the position. So the position on this is I'm leaned forward, and I know how you're supposed to ride a sports bike, pinch it with your knees and takes the pressure off your wrists, etc., and I get that. It's not that lean forward, but it's leaned forward enough to where it's a little uncomfortable. The other downside I didn't really think about was, in the Philippines, chances are you're going to be riding with a passenger, right? Because this is the way most people commute, back and forth. And I take this to the gym. I try to take it to the grocery store, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Hey, I'm trying to get her attention over there. I'll show you what I'm talking about. We tried to take this to the grocery store and found out real quick that this is not the motorcycle for that. So I'm going to show you the position the passenger sits in. So one, the back seat is tiny. Luckily, she is all of 43 kilos, so she can actually fit back there. But like when we're driving, lean forward like how you normally, she rides like this, because otherwise the passenger feels like they're going to fall off if they don't ride like this. And as a result, some of her weight is placed on me and makes it, what's already an uncomfortable position, even more uncomfortable. So, okay, thank you. Say thanks to my lovely assistant. So yeah, it makes it highly, highly uncomfortable. And then when we went to the store, we're like, shit, where are we going to put our groceries? And the scooter has such a big under the seat compartment. 9 times out of 10, I put everything under there. And if I can't fit it there, I have a rack on the back where I can put packages, I can put things on it. And so it's much, much, much more practical. So I found out real quick that maybe this wasn't the most practical purchase I've ever made. It's fun, don't get me wrong. I love driving. It's a blast to drive, and it's fun. I think it looks great personally, but it's a toy. So just to be very clear on that, if you're going to buy a big bike, unless you're going to buy something else, right? Like maybe like an adventure style bike or something like that. So again, I don't want to turn this into a motorcycle channel, but my purpose of this video is to give you insight into how things are here so you can better structure your decision-making process, and like I said, hopefully save you some money and heartache and hassle in the process when you get here if you're going to move to the Philippines. So hindsight 2020 type of thing, right? We don't know what we don't know. So yeah, I'm getting rid of this. Dumb decision on my part to buy it, and I'm buying something which I think is a little more practical, and I'll do another video on that. It's another big motorcycle, but it's a little more practical because it has a much better back seat, and it's a naked style bike. It's not like a sports bike, and the position is more upright and comfortable, and I think it's just going to be more what I should have gotten in the first place. So my advice would be either one, stick with the scooter, buy yourself a scooter, and like I said, I'll check that video out. I'm doing a video on that. Or if you're going to buy a big motorcycle, anything over 300 cc's, look at adventure style bikes or naked bikes, something more upright, because a lot of companies make racks for these things. I didn't want to put a rack on here because I think it looks weird on an R3. It's just a sports bike. I don't think it's supposed to have a rear luggage rack on it. Just kind of looks bizarre in my opinion. So I didn't want to turn this into that. So my advice would be look at naked bikes and ADV bikes, the adventure bikes, and there's a lot of those out there. You can check, there's a million YouTube channels that go into all these things, but so that would be my recommendation. Stay away from something like this. As much as it looks cool, and maybe you had a Ninja 650 or a Gixxer in America or whatever, you're probably not going to get much enjoyment out of it here, honestly, because like I said, chances are I'm driving under 80 to 90 kilometers an hour. Usually I'm driving about 50, 60 kilometers an hour, honestly, around town, going to this grocery store and the gym and stuff like that. So every once in a while you may get to get on it up to 100 kilometers, 120 kilometers, but like I said, you're backing down right away, and it's not very conducive to that type of driving. So that's my advice. Cool bike, save yourself some money, and probably stay away from the sports bikes here in the Philippines. All right, I hope that helps, guys. So like and subscribe. I got a bunch of videos, just like I said, I got a lot of editing I have to get done on some of the things we've been doing. So all right, hope that helps. See you guys.